Age does not decide when we stop growing. We do. We're the ones who limit ourselves by believing the myth that timing is everything and that we miss the window. You don't have to blow up your life. You just have to tell the truth to yourself. Start there. One brave step, one honest conversation. You don't need clarity to begin. You need courage. Clarity often comes after the leap, not before. It's not too late. It's just unfamiliar. And it's hard. And it can be hard. Everything meaningful you've ever done, think back, meaningful you've ever started is unfamiliar at the beginning. Everything. Anything you've tried, everything that's new, it's hard and it's unfamiliar. Don't confuse your discomfort with impossible. What if staying stuck is actually the higher risk? What if the cost of staying misaligned emotionally, spiritually, is higher than the cost of beginning again? What part of your life feels too small for who you're becoming? What story are you telling yourself about why it's too late? And what would shift if you gave yourself permission to want more without shame? Welcome to The Inner Edge, a podcast about leadership, self-mastery, resilience, and reinvention. Welcome back to The Inner Edge. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today, this episode is for any of you who have been thinking you want to change, you want to do something new, but you feel like it's too late. You're either too old or, hey, I've got my life in order. It's too late to follow that dream. First, before we begin, before we even start on that, let's start out with, since this is the new season and this is a new rebrand of this show, what is the inner edge? Because that's where we're going in all of the episodes this season. It's not a place. It's not a metaphor. It's that internal place where the version of you that has done it all right meets the version of you that's quietly longing for something deeper. It's the space between the life you've built and the one that's waiting for you. It's where your soul whispers things your schedule doesn't have time to hear. And when you find yourself there at the edge of what's known for you, what's expected of you, what's proven and comfortable, it's not a crisis. It's an invitation. Most of the people I work with are not falling apart. They're highly capable, they're respected, and they're responsible. And still, they come to me and say things like, I've checked all the boxes, but I feel empty, or I feel numb, or I feel like something's missing. I feel unfulfilled. Everyone thinks I'm doing fine, but I keep wondering, what if I missed the life that I really wanted to build? And what if I missed the career I really wanted to have? Now, that sounds kind of dramatic, and it's not always that dramatic when we have these conversations. It's actually more like a quiet ache. It's like a gnawing in the stomach. And it's this, and I know because I've felt this before myself. It's a subtle misalignment, as if, I'm just not fulfilled. A sense that somewhere along the way, you started living a version of your life that doesn't quite fit what you wanted. Even though you had achieved all of this success, it's not exactly what you thought would fulfill you. And even though you know it, and even though you feel it, you're comfortable. You're comfortable with your life, and you don't change. Why? Because think about it. It's a whisper, right? So you've got this whisper, and it gets drowned out. It gets drowned out by this thing that comes into many of our minds. It's too late. It's too late. I've taken the path, the road not taken. I took that path. That's where I followed, and I'm done. It's too late to pivot. It's too late to go back to school. I hear that all the time, by the way. Can't go back to school. How am I going to go back to school at 50 or 55 or even 60 or 70? Why would I go back to school? I don't need the degree. It's not about the degree though, right? It's about learning. It's about growing. It's too late to switch paths, to slow down, speed up, or just start over. And this is a voice that tells you in your head, you're not 25 anymore. You have responsibilities. You have a mortgage. Maybe you're getting ready to pay off your mortgage, but hey, you still have that mortgage. You've got people relying on you. You've got kids, perhaps. And maybe a sneaky voice inside you that says, you've made your choices. Now live with them. So there you are, the golden handcuffs or silver handcuffs, whatever kind. They're just handcuffs. So what I wanted to do in this episode is I wanted to tell you a true story. It's one of those small moments that stuck to my ribs and really never left. And it really, really made an impact on me that kind of shook me out of my stupor of thinking these types of things. A few years ago, my husband and I bought a house in Southern California. We moved from Virginia. We're bi-coastal, but we moved to Virginia. We moved to California from Virginia. And we were lucky enough to meet the man who owned the house that we bought. He was a 96-year-old man who was remarkably good health. He was all his senses. I hope if any of us lived to be 96 that we would be like this. He was walking perfectly. He was a little slow in his step, but man, he was walking. He totally all there. And he unfortunately was having a little bit of trouble with his back. And so he just could not do all the things that he would do in this house. And he was moving into assisted living and also to be closer to his daughter. And his mind was sharp and his spirit was fully alive. So I felt privileged to meet this man, and we went to lunch with him and to just talk about the house, etc. And as we sat together over lunch, we were talking about stories, and he was talking about his life. It was just amazing. I was eating salad. It was somewhere between the bites and the salad. I found myself saying something I'd been wanting and wrestling with quietly. And I said to him, I've been thinking about going back for my PhD, but I don't know. I'm in my 50s. It's probably too late for that. I think it's too late. And he paused mid-chew. He stopped chewing and he looked at me. And seriously, the look on his face was like I had just told him like the weirdest thing that he'd ever heard. And he said to me, "Do you mean you think you're too old?" And I laughed. That was my reaction. Like, oh my gosh, I'm telling a 96-year-old guy I'm 51 or whatever, I was at the time. And I said, uh, mm, nothing. So I felt gut punched. Like that was kind of something to think. And I laughed though, and I nodded. And I nodded sheepishly and said, kind of. And then he smiled. And I remember this. I remember his face. He leaned back in his chair and he said, "My dear, I started law school at 52. I graduated. I practiced law for over 22 years. And I still actually sometimes get clients for free advice. And now at 96, I'm finishing my first book. I'm going to be an author." And that was that. He was very confident, didn't miss a beat, didn't think he was too old. 96, finishing his book. And he goes, "And I know you said that you had written a book. I need some help. Do you know a publisher?" Seriously, that's what he said. I was there, sitting there. I was speechless. And I was gut punched, really. I thought, wow, that is the sobering. And it was, I think I met him for a reason. There was a reason why I met him. That man taught me something I'll never forget. Age does not decide when we stop growing. We do. We're the ones who build the walls with our own assumptions, the societal walls, our assumptions. It's too late to do this. We're the ones who limit ourselves by believing the myth that timing is everything and that we miss the window. Think about it. He became a lawyer. I mean, he went to law school at 52 and started practicing after that. He started law school at 52. Let's remember that. And so I don't know how long law school is, what, 3 years, whatever. So he started at 55 or 56 practicing law. And then he had a whole career. He said he practiced at least it was 22 years or so. So, and then he's writing a book. Okay. And then I'm sitting there complaining, like I'm in my early 50s when I was talking about this. And I'm sitting there complaining that I'm too old to get a PhD. I mean, okay, relate? How many of you think about these things? Exactly. So, what really holds us back? It's not that we don't know what we want, or maybe it is that we don't know what we want, but let's say we know kind of in our gut what we want. It's the idea of changing that seems disruptive. It's scary. And it also feels a little selfish like, okay, so I want to do this now. And you might be asking yourself, what would other people think? What would the people in my life think? You're going to go do this right now. You're going to go get a PhD. Well, why are you doing that? You don't need a PhD. By the way, that's what I heard a lot. You don't need a PhD. You have this incredible career. And you teach at universities, and they said you didn't need a PhD because you have so much experience. Why would you do that? And the other thing you may be thinking is, what if I fail? What if I don't have what it takes anymore? I hear this a lot from people getting ready to who want to start a new business later in life. Or what if this is just enough? Why am I like trying to do something new at this point? Let me flip that for a second. What if staying stuck is actually the higher risk? What if the cost of staying misaligned emotionally, spiritually, is higher than the cost of beginning again? Think about that for a minute. And I know it's kind of obvious, but think about it. What if staying stuck is worse? If you're feeling this tension, and I know some of you listening are feeling this tension, if you feel the nudge towards something new, but you think it's too late, and you've got that voice that keeps telling you, nah, it's too late. Here's what I want you to remember. It's not too late. It's just unfamiliar. And it's hard, and it can be hard. Everything meaningful you've ever done, think back, meaningful you've ever started is unfamiliar at the beginning. Everything. Anything you've tried, everything that's new, it's hard and it's unfamiliar. Don't confuse your discomfort with impossible, because that's where we get to. And then we go into the comfort zone. And, here's the other thing. You don't have to blow up your life. You just have to tell the truth to yourself. Start there. One brave step, one honest conversation. You don't need clarity to begin. You need courage. Clarity often comes after the leap, not before. So let me ask you, what part of your life feels too small for who you're becoming? What story are you telling yourself about why it's too late? And what would shift if you gave yourself permission to want more without shame? The man who sold me that house that day taught me something I'll never forget. We're not done until we decide we're done. So maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end of your story. Maybe it's the edge, the inner edge of a new one. You're not behind. You're not too old. you're right on time for whatever it is that you want to do. So let me update on the PhD. So I started it. I'm finishing. I haven't done the dissertation yet, but I've finished most of the coursework except for the research classes, which I'm doing right now, and working on getting ready to do the dissertation. There we are. Is it going to help me in my career? No, that's not what I'm doing it for. I cannot believe how much I've learned, how much I've updated in the field that I've been living in for the past 25 years. I I feel refreshed. I feel excited. It's hard. It is hard. That's why, what is it? 1% of people have PhDs. I'm not like crazy about academia and the academic approach. Even though I work in universities, I like the practical approach, but I'm learning. I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm doing it. And so you, you're not behind. What is it? Go for it. This is the inner edge where reinvention is sacred and where your next chapter isn't just possible, it's calling you. It's not too late.